Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dion's Daily Dose for Monday, January 11th, 2021. So, I'm sure all of you have been paying attention, but just in case you haven't, I have some things that I want to share with you today. Uh, Look, Parler is officially shut down. They came for them, and it's a lot worse than you even think it is. Hey, Jack, good to see you. Um, there's some things, like I said, that I'm going to share with you, but let's start with cancel culture is completely fixated on the GOP, conservatives, anyone who had anything to do, even via proxy, with what happened in Washington, D.C., at least the way the media reports it. Let's just leave it at that. Um, so we all know that they went full on against Donald Trump, right? So they banned him on Twitter, removed him on Facebook. Apparently, even his email hosting has been taken offline. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say this is ridiculous because it is. But let me show you how bad it can get. You guys know good old Rudy, right? Rudy Giuliani. New York State Bar Association to consider removing Giuliani as member. The New York State Bar Association said Monday it was launching an inquiry into whether Rudy Giuliani should be removed from its organization. The group said it was looking at comments President Trump's personal attorney, who has been accused of helping to fuel the mob that attacked the Capitol last week with false conspiracy theories about the presidential election, made just before that incident. Now, what does this tell you? This tells me none of us are safe. It gets worse. Apparently, according to the information that I've been able to find, the Parler situation is far worse than we are being led to believe. How many of you signed up for Parler as a registered user or a verified citizen or whatever the name of it is? I'll go through this with you. Here's a description of what went down according to someone with far greater technical knowledge than me. Quote, so a group of developers latched onto the press release that Twilio put out at midnight last night. In that press release, Twilio accidentally revealed which services Parler was using. Turns out it was all of the security authentications that were used to register a user. This allowed anyone to create a user and not have to verify an email address and immediately have a logged on account. Well, now, look, before I go any further, let me say I have not had an opportunity to look into this. I do not know the accuracy of this statement, but it does make me very concerned. Moving on. Well, because of that access, it gave them access to the behind the login box API that is used to deliver content, all content, parlays, video, images, user profiles, user information, etc. But what it also did was revealed which users had administration rights, moderation rights. Well, then what happened? Those user accounts that had administration rights to the entire platform, the hackers, internet warriors, call it what you will, able to use the forgot password link to change the password. Why? Because Twilio was no longer authenticating emails. This meant they'd get directly to the reset password screen of that administration user. This group of internet warriors then used that account to create a handful of other administration accounts and then created a script that ended up creating millions of fake administration accounts. It continues. Now that they had a way of creating admin accounts without interruption, they created a Docker image, basically a virtual machine called a Warrior, that anyone could download and when fired up would immediately start collecting data off of Parler in a coordinated fashion. Consider it like SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, that people used to load up as screensavers when their computers were not being used. Same concept, crowdsourcing. All of this data, the images, the videos, the images, the posts, the metadata, including the geolocation of all images and videos and the connections to the accounts that posted it, has been, since midnight, being uploaded to various cloud drives and storage arrays for the purposes of archiving this information for later retrieval by law enforcement, by the public, by open source intelligence communities. And the kicker is this. All of this information was thought to be secure and private by individuals who were making the posts. A significant number of those individuals went through the process of being a verified citizen on Parler. What does that mean? It means that they uploaded a picture of the front and back of their real state driver's license. Let that sink in for a second. I am positive the FBI has been actively soaking in this information along with internet warriors, but this is how they're going to officially track down. And it's how the FBI, DHS, and FAA have been able to immediately and exhaustively create no-fly lists. Every verified attendee of the Capitol event where they can find a real name has been placed on no-fly lists. It might seem like a small geeky glitch or hack, but in the age of information warfare, this is the silver bullet for the people who used Parler as a place to organize their efforts. Also, a lot of posts were deleted by Parler members after the 6th. Turns out, Parler didn't actually delete anything, just set a bit as deleted. Guess what has access to all deleted content? Administrator accounts. Administrator accounts, ladies and gentlemen. So what does this mean? Summed up, what does it mean? It means all of the people that uploaded their driver's licenses to Parler and all of the people that put their information in there have now been, their data's been breached. It's all out there. Driver's license information, whatever's on the driver's license, home address, some licenses have social security numbers, date of birth, pictures, all that information's out there and in the hands of people that are not friendly to the conservative movement. It is absolutely mind-blowing that this has happened. The bottom line is very soon we are going to be faced with a choice. You are going to be faced with a very serious decision to make. Because many places are already terminating employees that had anything to do with what happened in the Capitol. Whether you participated in it or not, that it doesn't seem to matter. There are videos of people gathered that are shouting for the people breaking windows to stop, to knock it off. That's not why we're here, things like that. That doesn't matter. If you were in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, you can expect to be terminated, blacklisted, talked about, on and on and on. If they, look, this is what it comes down to, people. If they can cancel the president of the United States of America, they can cancel you and me and anyone else. It's very, very simple. While I may not agree with everything Donald Trump tweets, I will say this. At no time did Donald Trump say storm the Capitol. At no time. And I can think of far worse examples from the left as far as encouraging violent behavior. There's something else that I want to show you, something that was recently brought to my attention right before I went live. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Let me go back here. Okay, so it looks like I didn't send that picture. Hold on, let me remedy that real quick. Pardon me. It is something that I need to get sent here. All right, there it is. Okay, so do you, ladies and gentlemen, do you remember a gentleman that I met with from Hammond, Gary area, named Cashley Kelly? They apparently, the cancel culture is coming for him now. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so we're here. The Portage Republicans GOP page had an interview with Cashley Kelly right before the election, actually. He was actually invited to speak at their event prior to the election. I was there. He was there. Now, the Portage Democrats have put out a post saying this is a video of Cash Lee Kelly marching toward the Capitol yesterday. He's on a mission to go, quote, occupy the Capitol, as he puts it. Mr. Kelly has lots of social media fans, including some local Republicans who invited him to speak at their rally in Valparaiso last October. Do the Portage Republicans, GOP, and Porter County Republican Party still support Mr. Kelly? Asking for a friend. Now, I don't know what happened in Washington with Cash. I do not know. Let me show you what I did find, though. Give me just a moment. There is a newspaper article from the Post-Tribune, of course. And I will tell you that it does not look good for him. My question is, the Porter County Republicans are very, very quiet right now. Either you support what happened or you don't. Either you support the president or you don't. I support the president. You're going to come for me, cancel me, knock yourself out. I have never been one to listen very well to people that I disagree with. So, hey, whatever. But let me show you what is going on here. Here it is. So Jennifer says here, hold on. I watched Cash and Anthony Russo peacefully protest in Washington. Okay, I appreciate that. See, I didn't keep up on it. I didn't really watch anything. What I have seen are videos of true patriots saying, hey, stop breaking windows, stop trying to break in. Steezy brings up a good point. I bet when the Senate parties go into their meeting rooms, Romney and Murkowski go to the Democratic room. I would bet money on it. So here we go. Let's get into this a little bit. Hammond man awaiting federal drug sentencing gets case continued and then seen at Capitol riot. Was Porter County GOP guest speaker. Now, according to this, Washington, D.C., January 6th, pro-Trump protesters gather in front of the U.S. Capitol building on January 6, 2021 in Washington, D.C. A pro-Trump mob stormed the Capitol, breaking windows and clashing with police officers. Trump supporters gathered in the nation's capital today to protest the ratification of President-elect Joe Biden's Electoral College. Now, a guest speaker at a mid-October political rally hosted by the Porter County Republican Party was awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty to federal drug charges, something a party official said he wasn't aware of until seeing the Hammond man's social media posts from the January 6th protest, riot, and breach of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Stick around. I'm gonna fly through this article really quick, and I'm going to tell you. Cash Lee Kelly, 32, was one of 12 reputed members of the Latin Kings facing an assortment of charges filed in January 2017 U.S. District Court in Hammond, part of a wider investigation into the street gang. Kelly, charged with conspiracy to distribute narcotics, filed a plea agreement later that year. Blah 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 blah. You can read it if you want. I'll give you the link to it. But here's what it comes down to. Let me get to it. This is all stuff. Allegedly, he was sold large amounts of marijuana for the Latin Kings and assisted in the sale of cocaine. It's not immediately clear what, if any, impact Kelly's apparent trip to Washington might have on his pending sentence. At least 5 people, including a police officer, died during the January 6th attack, meant to disrupt congressional certification of Joe Biden as the country's next president. Authorities have been tracking down and arresting people from coast to coast for allegedly desecrating congressional offices and looting the building. Kelly's multiple videos and pictures on his social media accounts appear to depict him on the way to and then at the Capitol protest. Now, let me be very clear. There's a big difference between, I can't believe I have to say this, but apparently I do. There is a big difference between the Capitol protest that happened and the storming of the Capitol. They were 2 separate events. Let's see here. Jennifer Walker says, I watch their live videos all day long, and when I watch them live and saw on mainstream media were different, very, very different. I agree. I have seen some of the videos of the people who were actually there and eyewitness accounts of the people that were actually there. And once again, not a shock. The mainstream media is reporting something very different from what actually happened. And Like she says that I was about to say, Cash is 30 years old, and this was from when he was a teenager, and he was only in trouble for conspiracy, not selling. Cash talked to me about this. I met him after the rally. He came to Michigan City. We met up at Shoop's, had a bite to eat. He actually made a video telling people, hey, this is a good guy, vote for him. But before that, we sat at the table and we were talking. I, too, have made mistakes in my past. I actually served time for the mistakes that I made. Was it a long time? No, not in the grand scheme of things. I was sentenced to a year, which means 2 for 1, 6 months. I did 6 months in county jail in the town that I was in, and that's it. It was for something ridiculously stupid. It was a teenage dumb idea. It was criminal damage to coin-operated vending machines. Does this mean I am a bad person? Does this mean I can never learn from my mistakes? No, it doesn't. I learned from that mistake, and I have gone on to lead a very full, very law-abiding life. I swore I would never be on the other side of the prison bars. And as a matter of fact, I got a job as a correctional officer working on the outside of those very bars. But let's continue with this article, and let me show you the big issue here that I think. In a 23-minute video on his Facebook page, hold on, I gotta bring this up. There we go. Okay, in a 23-minute video on his Facebook page posted around 11:45 a.m. on January 6th, Kelly poses for photos with and hugs supporters. He also joined in on a chant of "Where we go one, we go all," reportedly a slogan for the conspiracy theorist group QAnon. Quote, "Live free or die, stand for everything or fall. We ain't falling," Kelly said into his cell phone camera. Kelly spoke at an October 17th Freedom Rally at Central Park Plaza in downtown Valparaiso. It was a great event, by the way. The event was sponsored by the Porter County Republican Party, and a flyer for the rally described Kelly as a, quote, speaker and conservative social media superstar. Party officials, quote, had no idea about Kelly's pending sentencing before he was selected as a speaker, said Mike Simpson, chair of the county party. Quote, "We probably found out for the most part because of what happened January 6th, Simpson said. Adding of Kelly's social media posts, I saw all of it. Kelly, Simpson said, was presented as a rising social media star and force for blacks, and Simpson thought having him speak would be fun. Quote, his checkered past is just not something anyone was aware of, he said. Kelly's rhetoric, behavior, and conduct in Washington was reprehensible and abhorrent, Simpson said, as was that of those who breached the Capitol. It was wrong. I can't say it was wrong enough times, he said, referring to Michael Simpson. The county party did not pay Kelly for his appearance in October, Simpson said, and while its Facebook page includes a video by Kelly the day after the general election and a message about keeping the faith after the results came in, the party is cutting ties with him. The mandatory minimum sentencing for Kelly's charges is 5 years in prison, but Simon, who's the judge assigned to the case, told Kelly that if he reoffends, that could jeopardize receiving a lower sentence. Now, let me show you. Kelly requested permission to travel to Dallas, Texas for the day on January 2nd to attend a paid speaking engagement. So he received permission from that. It says in recent months, various organizations have requested Mr. Kelly's attendance at events all over the country. He has previously traveled outside of the district without incident. So there is a history of him going out, getting permission and going out. But here's the thing. There does not appear to be a filing requesting permission for Kelly to travel to Washington, D.C. for the protest. Now, again, you can look into it and read it if you want. And that's it. Yeah, Jennifer nailed it. He is very open about his troubles. And since he's come out against gangs and works hard to build his community since then. Absolutely. That's the thing. He is all about bringing people of both parties together. The fact they're trying to make him out like this is disgusting. He is a good, honest guy. I agree. The most telling thing for me is how quickly the GOP chooses to say, oh, that behavior is disgusting. Which behavior? Which behavior? The people who traveled to Washington, D.C. because they were upset about the way our government was doing things? I have no problem with that. I have no problem with people traveling to the source of the issue. I have no problem with people demonstrating in the street when they feel the government has wronged us. That is our right as enshrined in the United States Constitution. So if you have a problem with people demonstrating, if you have a problem with people protesting, then I have a problem with you. There is a massive difference between people gathering together to redress our government, to say, hey, we have a problem. There is a massive difference between that and storming government offices, smashing windows, breaking and entering, vandalism, theft. These are all very, very different than peacefully demonstrating. I find it interesting, too, how quickly the mob is coming of us who refuse to kowtow to what they want us to stand up. This is what they want. They want us to stand up and act like some of these fake Republicans, these rhinos that say, oh, I was wrong. I thought this way, but now I know Trump's a bad person and I'm not going to do this anymore. Are you ready for that? If it meant you would keep your job, if it meant you would keep your house, because look, there are reports, again, look into it yourself, do your own research, please. But there are reports that firearms manufacturers and dealers are having their website shut down, their hosting services canceled. If you think it's going to stop at Parler, you're out of your mind. Look at Alex Jones. Look, Alex Jones is way out there, right? But I think there is a kernel of truth in a lot of the things that he says. But when they came for Alex Jones, many of us said, that's just the beginning. It's only just starting with him. It's not going to end there. Between the shadow banning and ultimate full-on banning with Twitter, it's coming to fruition, isn't it? Now, let me tell you something. Both of my Twitter accounts have been suspended. My personal account, which I haven't even used really since I set up my campaign account. I've been primarily on my campaign account. I haven't tweeted. I haven't even logged in to read messages on my personal Twitter for weeks. I just got an email today that my personal Twitter has also been suspended. You want to know why? Why I think it is? Because of the hashtags that were in it. Ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, it is coming. It is coming. They are trying to cancel all of us. Now, right now, okay, it's a little frustrating, right? We, need a new social media platform to communicate. There are a few out there. I'm looking into a few. I'll report to you on which ones I'm going to use and if they're compatible with my streaming service, which is the big thing. But more importantly, it's starting on a grander scale. They are starting to restrict email access. What if your email provider suddenly told you, we're not going to offer you email anymore because you're a domestic terrorist? What are you going to do? Especially if you immediately lost access to all of everything in your email right now. I'm sure many of you have work-related items in there, perhaps security-related things. Yeah. And you know what? Yeah, Jennifer canceled Amazon. I don't blame you. I am actually going through and canceling all of anyone that had anything to do with canceling Parler. They're not getting my money. And this is what I've told people before. Look, I am not a huge fan of the cancel culture, woke mob, make them pay mentality. I believe that people have the right to say and do what they want. I'm a firm believer in the right of businesses to say and do what they want. But as I've explained previously, there's a big difference between a platform and a publisher. Now, that said, you and I, ladies and gentlemen, we vote with our wallets. We are the middle class for the most part. I believe most of you that watch this are of like minds with me. We are the great surge of America. We are what keep this country running. And all these social media companies, all these manufacturing companies, Walmart, Amazon, they exist because we allow them to exist. They exist because we give them money. If you disagree with what a company is doing, spend your money elsewhere. Spend your money elsewhere. Let me ask you this, ladies and gentlemen, because it's something that I've thought about doing in the past, and I wanted to find out if there was a market for it. I don't know how I would set this up, but here's my idea. If you can come up with a way to make it better. There for a while, I didn't care what businesses did with the money that I paid for their items. Meyer, or because I haven't shopped at Walmart in years, but Meyer or Speedway or whatever little local place, I paid for that product. I don't care what they do with it beyond. However, these companies are starting to make major decisions, and the money that they're making these decisions with is money that you and I have paid to them. I think it's time to start focusing on better ways and better companies to spend our money with. Would there be an interest in a conservative, for lack of a better term, list? Perhaps even an app that would let you know these companies donate to conservative causes versus these companies that donate to liberal causes. These companies don't get involved politically. These companies, something like that. If it exists already, let me know. I'd love to. I'd personally love to have something like that. Maybe an app that shows in your town what companies, maybe color coded. I mean, let me know. Let me know what you think. And even better, if you can make something like that, look me up. I'll tell you all my ideas. We have a reckoning coming up, a massive one, because we have seen what people are willing to do to avoid getting that eye of government on them. You know what I find really interesting? In all reality, there can be a murder in the streets of Chicago and no one says boo. No one wants to cooperate with law enforcement. Gang shootings stay widespread. People die. But a business decides to let people choose whether or not they want to wear a mask, and snitches line up. Explain that to me. Because I truly don't understand how people can be okay with murder in their streets, but want to report Walgreens, I think it was in Cicero, for not wearing masks and not requiring masks. They want the employees to be the mask police. And it's happening more and more. Our monthly breakfast meeting was canceled because of the restrictions that are in from the health department. I just hope that we can make something happen before it's too late with these restrictions. The stats have been manipulated. People are having. There are people that are very, very, very afraid, and it's having a negative effect on their mental health because the flu has suddenly disappeared. But yet we have all these numbers, even though the death toll for 2020 was no higher than 2019 or 2018. Explain it. I can't explain it. And I'm sure that if I try to explain it, I'll end up with even more issues. So Twitter, I'm no longer on Twitter. Both my campaign account and my normal personal account, which has been around for years and years and years, since I want to say the founding of Twitter. Both have been suspended for violating Twitter rules, but they won't tell you what the rules are. They won't tell you what you actually violated. Again, I haven't even tweeted anything in months from that account, months and months. Parler is gone, and apparently there was a massive data breach at the end of it. So that's fun. I saw up here, Jennifer said she had Parler and she didn't put her license info in. So there's two ways that you could use Parler. One was as a regular unverified user, right? The other was as Twitter's blue check mark. In order to get something like that on Parler, you had to send in your driver's license, a picture of your front and back of your license. So apparently all that is now out in the domain. Who can do whatever they want with it. That is a very sobering thought for anyone who put their info in. And again, what's hilarious is these people who are, well, if you don't like the way Twitter and Facebook censor your post, then you should go to a different place. You should create your own, make your own social media place. So someone did. They created Parler. Now, Google and Facebook tell Parler, well, you have to censor the same way we do. Doesn't that defeat the entire purpose of making a new social media service? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but something you have to ask yourself. You don't have to answer me in the chat. What are your values worth to you? What is the line for you when you're willing to denounce your beliefs? And where does it stop? Where does that line move as they threaten more and more? First, it may just be Donald Trump. You may just say, well, maybe I didn't like the guy as much as I thought. At the end, he did this or did that. And okay, I'm willing to delete my pro-Trump posts. It starts there. But the next thing you know, what else is not okay with them? What else do you have to say, oh, I was wrong about? How many apologies are you expected to make before the woke mob is satisfied? It's a good question. Something you have to answer for yourself. I mean, it's only a matter of time before it isn't just your credit. Oh, speaking of credit, that's another thing. Let me show you something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So the IMF credit score. Okay, so the IMF, here it is, thinks your browsing history should be used to determine your credit score. Here, take a look. Now, OAN reported on it. I think a few other places reported on it. This is just something that I grabbed. IMF thinks your browsing history should be used to determine your credit score. Data is the new gold has become a common phrase these days. Turns out a few researchers at the International Money Fund agree. Mega companies are now under radar for how they use user data. In a blog post for the IMF, 4 researchers put forward findings from a paper in the works, which looks at the relationship between finance and tech and how it is expected to grow. Prepare yourself. The researchers claim that one's browsing history, purchase history, and search patterns should be used to decide the credit score of every user. They believe this would determine a way more accurate credit rating than it does right now. Blah, 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 blah. I'll give you the link, but you can just look up IMF credit score. Now, do you know what the potential ramifications of this are, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know what this means? It's a slippery slope, right? Now, think about this just for a moment. Look at Donald Trump. Look at how quickly his Twitter account was canceled, his Facebook turned off, his email shut off. That's the president of the United States, people. Regardless of how you feel about him, that is the president of the United States. Arguably the most powerful person on the planet. And big tech shut him off just like that. Now imagine that you post something or you do something that the whoever's in charge, that big tech companies don't like. Imagine, in order to get a credit card, in order to buy a home, they're going to look at everything you've posted, everything you've searched, everything you've done online, and then they're going to tell you, I'm sorry, this bank cannot extend a line of credit to you because you don't meet our ideals, our belief system. You're not compatible with this bank. So you have to go to another one and another one. And every inquiry drops your credit score, right? That's simple fact. So next thing you know, you can't get a loan for a house because you're a conservative, because you believe in God, because you believe that marriage is this or that, or that you shouldn't have children out of wedlock. Whatever your particular belief system is, if it doesn't line up with what they believe, you can't get a loan. You can't get a credit card. You can't even buy a car. It's a little frightening. It's only a matter of time. I don't know if you've seen there's only a handful of good series on Netflix. One of them is Black Mirror. I don't know if it's available on any other services. I think it's a Netflix only. If you have not watched it and you have not canceled your Netflix account yet, I have. But if you have not watched Black Mirror, I highly recommend that you do so. Some of the advanced tech that is showcased in that show is absolutely terrifying. Jennifer says, so what they're saying isn't Trump is a liar or anything else. It's saying you can't think for yourself. We don't think you are smart enough to think for yourself. That's precisely it. And that therein lies the problem. It doesn't matter if someone is posting truth, fact. Look at all of the claims that have been made about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, people like that. The people themselves make outlandish claims. Twitter doesn't slap a warning on them. Again, I refer back to the Russia collusion hoax. It's been proven that this entire hoax scenario, the entire Russian collusion narrative was false, provably false. They have not, Twitter, Facebook, they have not put any kind of warning on those tweets. They have not put any kind of message on them, the fact checker crap, none of that stuff. It is only on conservative content. And when conservatives attempt to take our 75 million strong movement to another platform, no, you can't go anywhere. We need your money. That's what it's about. That's always what it comes down to. Now, I have heard that Twitter lost $5 billion overnight after canceling President Trump. If that's the case, then it warms me up inside. It makes me feel like there is hope yet. But what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, is be prepared. Make sure that while I'm thinking about it, just so I got sidetracked earlier. Look into alternate methods of both conversation, communicating with people online, purchasing options if you need additional firearms, because there has been another piece of legislation introduced into Congress in order to require registering firearms. This is in U.S. Congress. I don't have the number for it right now, but I will look into it and get it for you. I don't know what to say other than it's really quite scary how all of this is coming down. Seeing if I can find it real quick. There was a post. And one last thing, this is not from me, but if the Democrats just won the presidency, the vice presidency, the Senate, and the House, why would they need to impeach Donald Trump during his last days in office? Does that sound like a group of people that is in control? People in control don't panic. Watch and wait. Be patient. Hold the line. Don't take the bait. Don't fight with each other. I had a conversation. Here it is. Found it. H.R. 127, 117th Congress, to provide for the licensing of firearm and ammunition possession and the registration of firearms, and to prohibit the possession of certain ammunition. Let me share this with you so you can see. Boom. H.R. 1 427, introduced by one of our favorite nut jobs, Representative Jackson Lee, Sheila, Democrat, Texas, introduced 1/4/2021. We don't have any summation yet because it's not available, but the title tells us all we need to know. To provide for the licensing of firearm and ammunition possession and the registration of firearms, and to prohibit the possession of certain ammunition. This is what it all comes down to. We are being made illegal, which is all the more frustrating because they have opened the doors to illegal immigrant voters. But they are now trying to make law-abiding gun owners illegal. So that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to wrap it up. I got more coming for you. I still haven't been able to fully get into this Podesta emails thing. It's not wanting to work. I will keep trying to mess with it, but in the meantime, hold strong, ladies and gentlemen. I had a conversation with my aunt. She was very, very frustrated and upset about a family member of hers that is a raging liberal, pro Biden, and just hates anyone who even remotely doesn't hate Donald Trump. This is what I told her. I know that when you get on social media, be it Facebook, be it any, Twitter, anything else, and when you watch the nightly news, it's a very crushing weight, right? It's very, you've got these liberals celebrating and then calling for the impeachment or 25th Amendment of our president, calling for people to be jailed for simply expressing their opinions. But let me ask you, realistically, and I want you to think about this again. You don't have to answer in chat. Just think about it. If you were to turn off the television, if you were to shut off social media, if you were to just put your phone down and enjoy, whether it's a console game, a PC game, a pre-recorded TV show, forget the news, forget social media, how much impact do these people have on your everyday life? Do these people influence how you treat your family, how you treat your friends? I'm talking about your close circle that you talk to on a daily basis, that you hang out with frequently. Do they have any effect on that? Don't let them fill you with emotions that are irrelevant at this point. You cannot change what has happened. If there is something going on, then it's going to go on whether or not you or I do anything about it. That's the reality of it. I have no problem reporting things to you, letting you know what I found out. You should do the same, but don't let people get under your skin. It's just not worth it. So thank you for joining me. As always, God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.